We've created the first of its kind here in Australia, a nootropic BrainFood bar for Jiu-Jitsu practitioners to get the edge, to get the advantage on the mat. And I know what you're probably thinking, is this just another gimmick? Now, I know exactly where you're coming from because that was me about 6 years ago. When I first started adding natural compounds to boost my mental performance, to get the edge on the mats, and support my physical and mental fatigue from training every day, I was skeptical. It was only after deep diving into the scientific literature, finding compounds that had solid evidence behind them in human trials, that I was like, all right, maybe there's something to these. It was a huge plus finding out that some of these compounds have been used for centuries all around the world to enhance cognitive function, mental alertness, and even support the brain as it ages, brain and body as it ages. When I incorporated these specific compounds into my daily routine and felt the difference for myself, I was well and truly blown away. It's hard to explain. I just felt a bit more flowy on the mats. I felt like new techniques and concepts just seemed to stick. I felt like I was more of a sponge. I could just kind of like absorb information and then apply it, which was a really big thing for me. I would have a training session and then forget what the coach taught, and I was like, bloody hell, I felt like it was just taking so long for me. So this was a huge game changer for myself, absorbing information and then using that and applying it. And I felt like I could then progress a lot quicker in my game. So the first secret compound I want to share with you today is an ingredient found in our BrainFood bar called Bacopa monnieri. Bacopa is a herb that's been used in traditional medicine for centuries, for things like longevity and cognitive enhancement. The cool thing is, there's a bunch of science and human trials that have found some pretty interesting things, and I'm going to share a few of my favorites with you. Bacopa has strong ties with memory performance and a long association with new learning and memory retention. Human research shows Bacopa may slow the rate of forgetting newly acquired knowledge. How important is that when you're trying to absorb new Jiu-Jitsu techniques and concepts? Imagine if you could become a sponge and absorb all that information and then be able to apply it in a much shorter time. What would that do for your Jiu-Jitsu? Would that potentially help you progress quicker? Could Bacopa help you get your next stripe? Or help you level up to your next belt in record time? Researchers have also suggested it may accelerate mental processing, optimize cognition under stress, and promote relaxation. Now, don't we all want to optimize cognition under stress? Think about it. When you've got someone trying to choke you out or hyperextend your joints on a daily basis, fair to say that the body may perceive that as a stressful situation. Now, imagine being able to stay calm and make perfect split-second decisions while you're rolling or competing. Do you think that that would enhance your Jiu-Jitsu game at all? Now, can you see why we had to put Bacopa in our bars? Okay, on to the second little secret compound I want to share with you. And this is quite possibly one of my favorites, if I'm allowed to have favorites. It's called Ltheanine. Now, what can Ltheanine do for you and your Jiu-Jitsu? First off, what is Ltheanine? Ltheanine is a humble little amino acid that was found in 1949, if I remember correctly, in tea leaves in Japan. Now, it's commonly known to be found in green tea, and it does some magical things to the body and brain. I'm going to share 4 science-backed golden nuggets of information to get you excited about this compound. Ltheanine helps to increase the activity of alpha brainwaves, which are associated with a state of enhanced creativity. Finding yourself in a state of flow, less overthinking, more cohesion in your rolling, more creativity is a super fun place to find yourself while you're on the mat. It's also more efficient with less energy expenditure, meaning less fatigue, a decreased chance in injury, and even a more productive training session. Ltheanine can help get you into a state of calm while simultaneously sharpening your attention, your alertness, and your focus. How good is that? Now tell me, that's not the perfect place to be when it comes to Jiu-Jitsu, right? Calm, but with razor sharp focus. Imagine being a Jedi Knight on the mats. It's like a physical game of chess. Anyone who's done Jiu-Jitsu can relate. Brute force and ego ain't gonna get you very far. It's time to train smarter, not harder. Tap into your mental game and watch a whole new world open up for you. Ltheanine is commonly used for studying, new learning, creative problem solving, art, to get the edge in sport, and other tasks that require a calm but alert state. Are you going to be the one who introduces this hidden gem to your gym? Or are you going to keep it for yourself as your secret weapon? For all you coffee lovers out there, here's a fun fact. Did you know caffeine is a nootropic? But we'll go a bit deeper into nootropics in just a sec. The reason we didn't put caffeine in our bars is because we formulated them to pair perfectly with your coffee, not to replace it. Ltheanine can help enhance the mental alertness effects from caffeine, all while taking away the jittery, anxious side effects that can come from coffee or caffeine consumption. How cool is that? That's such a win. They're literally a match made in heaven from a chemical level and a taste perspective. Now, you can see why this is one of my favorites, right? Ltheanine is a bit of a magical little compound. Now, at this stage, you might be thinking, well, this all sounds great, but are these natural compounds safe for consumption? And I 100% get where you're coming from. This was a big question that I had when I first got into nootropics and adaptogens. I just wanted to know, like, yep, great, they improve my mental performance. Are they safe and are they good for me long term? First off, what is a nootropic? A nootropic is a natural or synthetic compound that can enhance cognitive function and even help the brain as it ages. Obviously, we only deal with the natural stuff over here at Sharp Thinking Nutrition. Next, what is an adaptogen? An adaptogen or an adaptogenic substance is usually a herb or a mushroom that can help the body adjust to physical, chemical, or biological stress, or like being choked out on a daily basis. Nootropics and adaptogens are thought to stimulate the body's stress protective response and help the body return to a balanced state called homeostasis. The idea is they help improve certain areas of mental performance, all while having protective effects on your brain and body. So not only are they safe, but they help to protect the body and brain from a longevity standpoint as well. Now, how cool is that? Right, the time has come to share the last secret compound with you. So, are you ready? Here's what the third hero ingredient can do for you and your performance on the mats. It's called MCT oil, and it comes from the mighty coconut. One study found that athletes who took MCTs with food before cycling had lower lactate levels and found it easier to exercise with a decrease in fatigue. Another study found consuming food containing MCTs for 2 weeks allowed recreational athletes to endure longer bouts of high intensity exercise. Basically, it could help you go for longer before hitting fatigue. Think of those tough rolls. We've all been there. Heavier opponents, higher belts, maybe the closest matchup to you in the gym that you really want to tap out, obviously humbly of course. But imagine if you could just get that extra 5-10% push before hitting fatigue. What would that do for you? It's time to ditch the horrendous, unhealthy, sleep-killing pre-workouts and start fueling the smart way to get the edge on the mats. MCT oil has been shown to have antimicrobial and antifungal effects. It contains fatty acids that fight yeast and bacteria overgrowth. Now I know what some of you might be thinking. I train most days, I'm fine, I'm already progressing in my game. It's so crazy because that was me about 6 years back. I was a blue belt, 4 stripes, and I wanted my purple belt so bad. I was training pretty much every day of the week. I was showing up, putting the work in, and at the same time I was following like a Jiu-Jitsu strength and conditioning program. I always felt just a little bit fatigued when I was on the mats, but didn't really think much of it. Adding these nootropics as part of my supplement routine made such a big difference in my life. I felt overall just sharper while training. I also noticed improvements in my sleep, and that was a big one for me at the time. It was something I was struggling with. And it was only later that I learned Ltheanine has been shown in human trials to improve sleep, which is pretty cool, but that's for another day. It's actually quite strange talking about my routine before nootropics. It was, while I was there, it just felt normal. It was only when I had these improvements and looked back that I really realized that I had a long way to go. And I had a lot that I could improve it. Like I wasn't in an optimal state to be learning, to be absorbing new information. Plus, I was increasing my chance of injury big time. Coincidentally, it was around this time where I tore my meniscus in my knee during a comp. Then, just after recovering from knee surgery and being back into training a little over a month, I had a pretty nasty elbow injury and another round of bloody surgery. And the worst thing was I had lost so much time off the mats. So I wasn't in an optimal state to progress anyway. Plus, being injured, you get nowhere anyway. And when you're off the mats injured, you think about everybody else progressing and you're like, not. To some extent, injuries come with the nature of the sport. However, a large percentage of these injuries can be avoided. And it comes down to nailing your recovery and dialing into your mental game, showing up to training in a better headspace with sharper thinking, more alert, better focus, and making better decisions. Being creative, problem solving, all these things that are associated with mental performance, right? It's a no-brainer, it makes sense. The question is, what will our Nootropic Brain Food Bars version 2.0 do for you and your Jiu-Jitsu? Accelerate your Jiu-Jitsu journey and have your training partners wondering what the hell you've been doing? Maybe you'll become a sponge, absorb technique, absorb concepts, absorb new skills, and be able to apply those to your game, helping you take your game to the next level. Maybe you want to level up and get your next belt in record time. How about decrease your chance of injury because you're more alert, more focused, and overall just sharper on the mat? Or maybe you want to take your competition game to the next level. What if our nootropic brain food bars could help settle the nerves, fine-tune your focus, and help sharpen your thinking to give you the edge on competition day? I honestly can't wait to hear what our bars have done for you, how they've impacted your jiu-jitsu, what you think of them as a pre-jiu-jitsu snack, and how that relates to how you feel on the mat. Now, I'm super keen to hear any feedback. I love hearing this stuff. Enjoy. See you on the mats.